LFY. I'm Baseskip, and I don't like living in Australia. Stupid Australian internet. Anyway, we've got Vici Gaming over on the dire side. We've got LFY over on the Radiant. These two teams faced up against one another in the Summit 3 qualifier. Not the Summit 3, not the Summit 7. I don't know, I had 3 on the brain, but yeah, Summit 7 qualifiers yesterday, where they had a 2-1 series, Vici Gaming winning Game 1 in 24 minutes and Game 3 in 20 minutes, losing Game 2 in spectacular fashion in over an hour. So they Vici eliminated LFY from the Summit qualifier, and then LGD came in and got a little bit of revenge for their sister team and actually eliminated Vici from the Summit qualifier. So neither of these two teams are in contention for the Summit anymore, but they are still both in contention here for MDL. This is actually the upper bracket, so both of these two teams are very, very close to qualifying. There's 2 qualifier spots available, so if they win this match, then there's only one more match to win to actually qualify through. And that other match is going to be our second upper bracket match for today, which is a best of 3 of LGD versus IG Vitality, so it should also be a pretty sweet matchup. We've got a Sand King and an Earth Spirit banned out, as Vici are going to go for a Warlock and a Monkey King, and even more position 4 heroes banned, as LGD.Forever Young will get rid of Dream Protector and the Ricky, picking up a Crystal Maiden and a Troll Warlord for themselves. So it looks like we are going to have Monet on the Troll Warlord. They really like this Troll Warlord plus Death Prophet strat, which is a little bit interesting. That'll probably get banned out. I think Vici banned it yesterday against them, but both teams have been playing the Troll Warlord, and this hero's been trending a little bit in the Chinese scene, so always somewhat interesting to see that. But let's
Radiant team ban.
But alright, yeah, there's that Death Prophet ban. We got the Omni Knight removed as well. Vici already grabbing both of their supports early on, so still plenty of flexibility in the lineup in terms of how they wanna play this. We will see a team that respects the Templar Assassin. I feel like TA has not been getting the respect that she's due recently in some of these matches that I've been casting. So that's certainly good to see. And
10 seconds remaining.
What are Vici going to be worried about here? So maybe they're still worried about something like the SF, but looks like they are just going to get rid of the Afu Nyx Assassin. So if LGD want a roaming position 4, then they are going to have to scrape the bottom of the barrel a little bit.
10 seconds remaining.
Are we offline?
5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Anyway, already into the reserve time for LFY. What position 4 heroes are even left? I think Clockwork is a pretty good position 4, though I don't know how amazing he is this game. There's a Bounty Hunter. That's about it, honestly. This is the most position 4 bans I think I've ever seen. You know, we had 4 in one of the games yesterday, but now we got 5 this game. And yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what Afu ends up playing. Might be something a little bit out of the box. Maybe something like a Brewmaster. I think Brewmaster position 4 could kind of be a thing. Roam around. The clap is pretty good. It's actually pretty decent against both Warlock and Monkey King. The Purge on his ultimate is actually very, very strong against Fatal Bonds and very strong against the Golem itself. Does quite a bit of damage, so that could be something to watch out for here. Alright, so Batrider gets grabbed. LFY looking fairly single target as far as their lineup goes, but the Batrider pickoff is definitely going to be helpful for transitioning into those Troll Warlord pushes. And Vici Gaming, how are they going to answer back to this? There's still plenty of good carry options versus Batrider right now, so not the worst situation to be in. They could go for some kind of Venge SF strat as well, I think would be pretty decent. Get the core Vengeful Spirit against the Batrider for some solid counter initiation, but we did see Ori's Lina go absolutely ham yesterday in that other best of 3 that they played against LFY. I think he went 17-0 at the end of the game. He solo killed Super's SF multiple different times. So, not his SF, his Templar Assassin. So that could be something to watch out for here, especially given that LFY might be looking at an SF pick themselves. That's why I had SF on the brain. And Lina actually has a very favorable matchup against SF, where I think most people would say that it's only maybe a slightly favored or even matchup against the Templar Assassin, which has already been banned out. So let's see what LFY can do against this Lina, I suppose. Maybe something super wacky like a position 4 Pugna for Afu. I don't really know what that guy's hero pool is, so maybe he's got something up his sleeve, but not really sure. LFY just going to go for the DK. Alright, that is not an amazing laning matchup against the Lina, but at the very least it's good with the Troll Warlord, so that's always nice to see. Gives them way more tower push as well, so they do push very, very quickly, but what else is going on for him this game? He's got the Crystal Maiden aura to help him spam out, so I don't know if he even really needs to get a bottle. Could maybe just focus on picking up a little bit more HP regen here and there. Does need to be somewhat cautious of a Silver Edge coming out eventually from the Lina, but there isn't too much physical damage on the Vici Gaming side just yet, as Vici, alright, that's going to be their safe lane up against the Batrider. Slark, always nice to have. Potentially purge yourself out of a lasso, purge yourself out of all the sticky stacks, get a nice pounce on the Bat so that it's difficult for him to escape, and the Slark, also pretty solid, able to pick up a Silver Edge, able to fight up against the Dragon Knight with that, and probably one of the heroes that can actually do decently against the Troll Warlord, at least for a little while. Still needs to be careful that if he gets bashed the first time, he might just get chain bashed and do absolutely nothing, but at least his ultimate's going to give him some kind of an opportunity to disengage in these fights. So that's good news. They've got pretty good wave spam, so decent split push between the Lina and the Slark, and is one of the few heroes that can feel somewhat safe split pushing against the Batrider, which is certainly good news. They're just looking for their off lane now, which could probably afford to be light on the lockdown. They do have the Monkey King and the Warlock as their position 4 and position 5 respectively. So maybe something like an Abaddon for the off lane if they're really still worried about the Batrider. Alright, now Abaddon's gonna get... Poor old Abaddon's gonna get banned out. He's just been way too popular as of late, so LFY already thinking about that. LFY do have the very last pick, but it's just their position 4 that they're missing. They could maybe run the Batrider as a position 4. Of course, it wasn't too long ago that we were seeing Zhao 8 and whatnot running the position 4 Bat. Not even, I don't even know if it was position 4, but it was certainly support. And he was running around, throwing sticky stacks at mid lane, kind of doing a little bit of zoning, so maybe that's something that they can look at here, as Night Stalker gets banned out by Vici, and they will just grab... What are they going to grab for their off lane here?
5 seconds remaining.
Alright, just the Centaur is fine. Decent initiation, good disengage against the Troll Warlord. Gives them some more burst damage as well. I think they would have liked to have had the Omni Knight or the... Yeah, they would have liked to have had the Omni Knight or the Abaddon if possible, but won't be able to get it this game, and instead just go for the Centaur, who does at least still bring some defensive capabilities once he gets his Aghanim Scepter up, and I think that's most of what they're looking for here from their off lane, because again, they've got kind of the initiation and the lockdown and the team fight covered with their support, so their offlaner doesn't really need to bring much of that. I think it's more just about keeping the Lina and the Slark alive so that they can do their damage. And I think that's where the Centaur really comes in. LFY, alright, well that's another position 4. They do just grab themselves a Kunkka, gives them some more 5-man, gives them a little bit more roaming potential as well. It's something that isn't so easy for the Slark to escape from, so I like it for that reason. Also going to help at bringing people back if the Stampede tries to disengage, so Seems like a solid pick.
10
Again, they had to
seconds
really
remaining.
put their heads together to figure out what they were going to be picking here for the position 4, but seems like they've come up with a decent answer. Kunkka is a little bit light in terms of damage these days, so that's the one thing I think to be worried about for their lineup. Batrider, if he's behind or isn't really able to stick around in teamfights, doesn't really do very much damage. The Kunkka are not huge on damage, at least early on, and even later, you know, not going to be doing too much other than that initial little bit of burst. And I guess Crystal Maiden's decent, but it also comes down to whether or not you actually get the opportunity to use your ultimate, which might be tough against the Chaotic Offering and the Monkey King with his Boundless Strike. But we'll get ourselves into the game. Unfortunately, this match is not ticketed, so everybody's names are going to be a little bit messed up. But we'll cope. Afu is Afu. He's on the Kunkka. And I'm just going to make sure that I pull up some other names here just to try and not mess things up too bad. Let's have a quick look. I got some action already. A couple of sticky stacks on the Monkey King, but it looks like he's going to be alright. Alright, so we have over on the Vici side, so this is End on the Slark. It's Ori on the Lina. Yang is going to be your Centaur Warrunner. I think it's probably, what is it? Where's Chuan? That's Chuan, I'm pretty sure, on the Warlock, and that leaves HYM on the Monkey King. Meanwhile, for the LFY side, again, that's Afu. Monet, of course, is your Troll Warlord, aka Motail. LPR or DDC is your Crystal Maiden. Mid lane's going to be Super, and that means off lane we have Inflame. So a little bit confusing, but we got there in the end. It's 2 bounty runes apiece, nothing too shocking. And we got a Dire Observer Ward and a Dire Sentry blocking out both of these camps over here in the early game. So that's going to be a little bit annoying for poor old DDC on the Crystal Maiden, but he's got some sentries. Well, a sentry and some tangos, so he'll be able to deal with that pretty quickly, I would think. Warlock is starting off over in the off lane here. Does buy up a TP scroll early on, but looks like he's going to be just helping out the Centaur and putting on some pressure onto this Troll Warlord. Though, as far as safe lanes go, Troll is a hero that actually copes with offlane pressure very, very nicely. If he gets forced back from the wave, he's always got his ranged form. And, you know, has some reasonably useful nukes in the early stage as well. Dragon Knight just going to be picking up a Stout Shield and a Quelling Blade, as it looks like not only do I have some internet lag, I have maybe a little bit of perfect world lag. We'll see if that clears up. Otherwise, a quick reconnect will probably be the solution. Fortunately, not too many illusions in this game, but we do have the good old Monkey King ultimate, so that's going to be the other thing to watch out for. My poor bitrate. Anyway, Dragon Knight doing decently on mid. Lina claritying up a little bit. Missing 1 CS to the tower, it looks like, but not a huge deal. Warlock trading a couple of blows back and forth with the Crystal Maiden. And looks like they haven't actually blocked this side camp successfully. This ward's a little bit out of position, so side pull ends up happening, and that could be trouble. There's already 1 bash under the Warlock. Can we get a second? They're just going to go for the ranged auto attacks through, and that's actually going to be a very easy first blood, it looks like. Centaur Warrunner coming in just a little bit too late to really do anything, and alright, with that first blood down, let's maybe have a quick reconnect and see if that helps with the lag situation. Don't abandon. Don't pull the accidental AC.
Denied.
Alright. So we're back in. Yeah, we're looking a little bit better, but let's not jinx it. Centaur doing pretty nicely in terms of his overall farm. Lina starting to pull ahead slightly against the Dragon Knight, but not by a huge amount. He's got a regenerate as well, so he's going to be a-okay. The Breathe Fire spam is going to be pretty much non-stop in this lane between the bottle and the Arcane Aura. Monkey King looks like he's fishing for a courier snipe at the moment, but don't know if he'll be able to find it. Dragon Knight not going to be bringing anything out just for a little bit, and might even wait for the 3-minute mark to do so, just to make sure that they have the Flying Courier up. Kunkka still only level 1. As he makes his way over here, maybe going to try for a double stack or something like that. As the Warlock actually opting to come back down towards bottom, so Chuan wanting to help the Centaur get his initial farm here, help secure that Blink Dagger. He isn't going for a jungle build, really, at all. You know, no Iron Talon or anything picked up, so it is important that they help him out in the lane. Bit of damage onto him. Tron going to come forward with the heal. The poor man's shield helping out. And looks like he's going to be okay. Back behind the tower. MonkeyKeen going in looking for the snipe, but he's not going to find it. Torrent almost catches him over in the trees. It looks like he should still be able to hip-hop his way out of here. Jumping away from the Kunkka, who wants to tango it desperately, but just can't quite get in range. Has he found it now? Oh, just one tree off. And MonkeyKeen still had the Primal Spring ready to go if he was really in trouble, so looks like he's going to be alright. Slark not having a very fun time against this Bat Rider up top, and Bat actually doing pretty nicely in terms of his overall farm. So this could be a very scary 5-man lineup from Team LFY. What do we got here? Just some boots up for the Lina. It's going to be going for a Yule Scepter this game, interestingly. At least the last game we saw Ori, he was just rushing the Bloodstone ASAP, but actually in some trouble here as the Crystal Maiden finds a haste. Running through, and the Breathed Fire will actually find that kill. Alright. Dragon Knight did pick up the point in the Dragon Tail, just in case he needed it, but no, Lina just way too low, and gets brought down. So LFY off to a great start, about a 1k net worth advantage, 400 experience. And DDC finding some good levels, can get some points up in the Arcane Aura. And Centaur, I mean, it's too early to expect him to have a ton of progress. They're going to jump forward onto the Bat Rider. He looks like he should be able to bring him down. The Fairy Fire keeps him alive long enough to maybe get this kill on the Slark, but Wasabi surviving. That's not even Wasabi, it's God, I'm forgetting everybody's names because I'm busy looking at internet issues. That is, of course, End. He's going to survive just barely on the Slark. 1 charges. Help him to keep him alive. I think we're going to try reconnect again. This is just ridiculous. Come on. All I want to do is cast some Dota 2. I'm just a boy who wants to cast some Dota 2, you know? Alright, maybe this time, maybe not. Lina farming nicely, but all 3 cores over on the LFY side, over 30 CS right now, which is a little bit scary. Lina playing very far up, almost level 6. We'll have the Laguna Blade in just a second, but Troll Warlord not really caring too much about the pressure from the Centaur right now. Bat Rider actually the most farmed hero on the map, at least in terms of CS for a second there, as he will come up here and swipe away a bounty rune. Looks like he did just clear out the jungle, so that's where that little bit of additional farm was coming from. But yeah, Lina not going to be going for the arcanes this game, just feeling like she needs the disengage potential, I suppose. It is going to be very important to have a Yule Scepter against the Kunkka, just so that the X marks the spot doesn't mess you up so badly. You can dodge the majority of his combo. But I think that is going to slow down her farm speed overall, not having the Bloodstone. So you're going to have to be a little bit more conservative with your mana if you don't have the non-stop Bloodstone regen, and that means, you know, either heading back to take shrines or just farming up a little bit less. More damage onto the Troll. I mean, he's got his Ring of Regen to heal him up a little bit, but still dropped pretty low. Radiant supports running past a Dire Observer Ward here, and they were hunting, but the Monkey King is concealed himself as a tree, so it looks like he's going to be A-okay. And actually the rotation is going to come down towards bottom. They look for the slow onto the Centaur. Doesn't have the Stampede just yet. Still a little bit behind on the experience. He's going to go for the Stomp. Does manage to find it, and with 2 sticky stacks, looks like he still will just be able to saunter his way back over. The Shrine is active, but maybe not going to use it just yet. Meanwhile, up top, Afu trying to soak a little bit of experience. Does get jumped on here by the Primal Spring. Slark looking for the pounce as well. Afu, 3 Jingu stacks up on him. And can't escape through into the fog, still being chased. Coming around the corner is now the Stampede is going to get popped. They should be able to grab the pounce, but they need to be careful about the TP out. They're going to hold the Boundless Strike for the time being. And there's the Torrent. Boundless Strike now used at the very last moment. And they will find the turnaround kill. Not even the turnaround kill, but just find the kill. Dragon Knight chipping away at this tier 1 mid lane with the first DK ultimate being very successful. driving back the Lina and the Centaur over towards the shrine. As Batrider will find himself a very lucky Invis rune. Is he going to use it immediately? Not just yet. Pokes his nose over towards bottom, but just hanging on to it for the time being, as Centaur is 1k gold towards his Blink Dagger.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
A little bit of Flame Break harassment, but not really going to matter too much. Bat just kind of zoning away from bottom lane as Trollwiller goes for the denies, looks to reset the wave position. He is actually trying to push the wave right now. Needs to be somewhat careful. There are 3 heroes rotating down looking for him, and MonkeyKing gonna hip-hop his way through. There is still another Dire Observer Ward in the same spot, scouting him out. So he is being watched. Crystal Maiden at level 5, 3 points in the Arcane Aura. Has a smoke, as they do give the mid lane over to Afu for just a second. Almost has his level 5 grabbed himself. And with another DK ultimate in 1 second's time, it looks like LFY keen to finish off this tier 1 tower over on the mid lane. Is there a glyph available? There is not, and they've actually managed to find the Warlock back behind the tower. Do they even need to use the lasso? Looks like they don't. He just gets burned down.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Slark still farming, but has a little bit of catching up to do right now. Though that neutral stack is going to help out somewhat. Alright, so tower gold flowing in for the Radiant side. Batrider just going to be going for the drum build here, relying a little bit less on the blink since there is some decent counter initiation for him. So better to just tank up, do more damage. I think that's a fine strategy overall. Dragon Knight not going to be doing anything greedy, is just going straight for the armlet. And then Super, I would guess, probably... What? How early does he get BKB'd this game? I guess that's the big question. I think he can probably get away with a Maelstrom or something like that. Batrider pressuring Slark once again. Excellent. And Warlock just trying to finish up this farm towards his level 6. Definitely going to be very important for holding off these initial fights. Centaur's blink isn't going to be too far away either, so the team fight potential, Vici definitely going to get a lot stronger. They're going to stampede their way up onto the high ground. The Boundless Strike misses completely, however, and Monet just going to walk it off. That was a 2-core rotation, and it didn't find anything. Looks like they are going to head down towards bottom and try and at least pick up the tier 1 tower here. DDC waiting over on the high ground, but are they considering a dive? Looks like they might be. Are there TP scrolls available for the rest of the team? Troll Warlord not carrying one. Batrider does have one in his drum now completed. Dragon Knight also with a TP ready to go. Very, very close to finishing the armlet, but alright. Just Lina pushing the lane for the time being. Working her way towards that Yule Scepter, but not the dominant performance that we saw from Ori in his Game 3 against LFY yesterday. As it looks like LFY will be able to put themselves in a position to keep on pushing out top lane.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Okay, so a bit of a trade coming up, but the Dragon Knight ultimate gonna help close the gap in the tower difference here. They do have the MonkeyKing scouting at the Batrider. Needs to be careful. The Firefly could knock him down off of his perch. And he will just Primal Spring himself away, but looks like Bat should be able to successfully defend this, while Dragon Knight by himself will just take out this top tower. And LFY getting further and further ahead. 2.8k the net worth lead right now. Experience right around there as well. Crystal Maiden, I think, a pretty significant portion of that, and well, at least Warlock has his level 6 now. Who's actually behind over on the Dire side? The MonkeyKing trailing just a little bit, only level 5 for the time being. They are trying to get around here, going to try and set up with the Boundless Strike. Getting threatened, but the Torrent is actually going to end up catching the MonkeyKing. He gets popped down right back on top of his tree, so it looks like he's going to be able to hop away, but he's being scouted, so playing a little bit more defensively now. Slark, is he going to come in here and try and take a couple of stacks off the DK? Not really that much point with only 1 point in the Essence Shift. So both just kind of dancing around one another for the time being. He's got plenty of regen. Stampede going to get popped down bottom. They're going to look for this Crystal Maiden kill. Can they finish it off? One more auto attack should do it. Looks like that Shadow Word should be enough. As Centaur does grab the kill, they've got the drag over onto the Lina, but she's doing decent damage. At least gets the Laguna Blade off, but Batrider with that drum surviving a little bit longer, and Monkey King actually ticking down to the flame break. As Dragon Knight now arrives, he's got the armlet, he's quite tanky. Bat Rider just going to be TPing out, however. Slark does manage to jump forward and get the pounce. The Torrent should be able to disengage somewhat, but they've got the chain stun. DK still surviving through. They drop the Chaotic Offering onto 2. He's going to try and toggle for dear life, but he gets pounced once again. And looks like he should just get auto attack down. Primal Spring forward from the Monkey King as he tries to hunt for the Kunkka, but he's already managed to disengage. Meanwhile, however, Monet, nobody paying attention to him, and he's just going to be able to take out the tier 2 tower in the mid lane less than 14 minutes into the game. He's picked up his level 11, he's got the plus 10 Agi and his Yasha, and that means it's Roshan time. Alright, Monkey King finally has the Wukong's command. Lina looks like she finally has her Yule's Scepter up as well. Definitely would have been helpful in that last fight against the Bat Rider burning her down, but Roshan already dead. Too late to contest, it looks like, and good Radiant Vision in the area, making LFY feel very, very secure in their decision-making right now. And give the Aegis over to the Troll Warlord, definitely making sense since he is relatively squishy for the time being. Kunkka just picking up some Arcane Boots. And Dragon Knight, what is the item decision going to be? He's actually just going to rush the VKB, so it looks like Super kind of sensing blood in the water and realizing that they might actually be able to close this game out very, very quickly. Maybe even only the second Aegis. It could even end up being that this first Aegis gets them all of the remaining outer towers on the Vici side. Decent vision around the Dire bottom side, but... And this sentry actually just out of range once again. Is this the third time that they've placed this ward this game? Because they had it right from the very start. It feels like it's been here the entire time, but not really scouting anyone for the time being, and they're actually just gonna send the Bat Rider out with a Firefly to push out the wave, so being very, very cautious. They're a little bit worried that there's a smoke happening right now, but with Lina showing on mid and the Slark showing up top, I think that should make them feel a little bit less afraid, and Super will, in fact, push out the bottom lane somewhat. Centaur's hunting for him. Gonna be looking for the Stampede blink forward. Dragon Tail just to keep him away. This is the DK ultimate forced, and a little bit of backup coming in the form of the Kunkka, but Slark is already on the case, and they've got more heroes making their way forward. Can they get the combo onto the Slark? He's not actually that tanky. They're going to look for the Torrent Bow. They drag him back into the Freezing Field as well, but it gets cancelled by the Boundless Strike. Crystal Maiden now being pounced, but Slark dropping very low. Will be able to disengage just a little bit further, but the very low HP Kunkka drags him back into the fight. He's trying to get away from the Torrent, and he is being healed back up by the Shadow Word as the Bat Rider now arrives. He's got the lasso over onto the Lina. Looks like she's already dead as Centaur turns around for a bit more damage, but also brought down as Monet finds a double. And should just be LFY pushing out this bottom tier 2 at this stage. Warlock had the Chaotic Offering, it looks like, but just couldn't find a good opportunity to use it, so LFY just going to keep pressing this advantage further and further. Dragon Knight surviving, so gets a step closer towards his BKB, just needing the Mithril Hammer at this stage. And Monkey King, alright, finding a bit of farm over at mid. Looks like he got the Wukong's command off in that fight, but didn't really do anything all that scary. The Dragon Knight and the Troll Warlord do have pretty high armor, so... And the Vlad's also helping out the other heroes in terms of that physical damage. So, alright. Tier 1 tower, there is a glyph, so it looks like this tier 1 tower not going to be that easy to take down. Slark working towards the Silver Edge, and Vici looks like once again going to be trying for a team fight here. They've gone for a smoke up. They do actually have a DD over on the Slark. The Bat Rider reveals the smoke right now, but he is getting jumped on top of and will be brought down by the Laguna Blade. Everybody else trying to disengage, but they've got the Chaotic Offering down into 2. I think the Troll Warlord fast enough to just run for it, but Kunkka not quite so lucky as he gets locked down by the Boundless Strike, used up and brought down. And now DDC trying to escape. Looks like Monet already long gone, as Dragon Knight just going to take this as a little opportunity to push out mid lane, but End is going to be looking for Super here. Does he have any backup? They've TP'd over to the shrine, and now they've got the pounce. Monkey King should be jumping down in a second. No, just going to be going for the Boundless Strike for the time being. They've also got the Lina coming over. Can they get the Yules up? Not quite able to get in range. And no, at the bottom side of the map. Alright, it's just the Troll Warlord charging forward, killing off the Golem, killing off the Warlock. And now looking to kill off this tier 1 tower with no Chaotic Offering available. Shouldn't really be that easy for Vici to defend this, though. Unfortunately, they can't really find a trade. Top lane's been pushed in a really long way, so Slark has quite a ways to go to actually go and finish off this tier 1 tower. And it's actually yet another smoke, Batrider, with the Blink Dagger and a lasso ready to go. Tons of space in the mid lane since they took out this tier 1 tower as early as they did. And Vici, who will be caught? That's the question. Slark. Oh, just around the corner. They've popped the ultimate as they will just go for the courier, finishing that off. Now they've got the lasso over onto the Lina. She will be able to Yules herself. That's only going to save her for a second. Slark getting stampeded in. They go for the Kunkka. He's pretty tanky. Does have the boat buff, but still finished off. Now the Boundless Strike coming through, but the Freezing Field finishes off the Slark, and they're forcing Monkey King to the very edge of his ultimate. He gets Dragon-tailed there, and looks like he will just get auto-attacked down as they continue pursuit. Centaur trying to escape. Blink still on cooldown for a little bit longer, but looks like he will just be able to walk away. But another fight with big casualties for Vici as they end up losing 3. Only the Kunkka going down over on the LFY side, and this net worth advantage continuing to build and build and build. And once again, it's without all 5 heroes there for LFY. Troll Warlord in the meantime was taking out this bottom tier 2, so there's only 1 remaining outer tower for the Vici side right now. Dragon Knight's got his BKB, so he's going to be insanely difficult to deal with. Lina lagging 3 levels behind at this stage, is going to be going back for the Bloodstone, but I'm not even sure if it's worth it at this point. Has gone for the plus 125 cast range, but seemingly has not helped her against the Batrider in terms of positioning so far. Bat probably going to be going for, well, not going to be going for the BKB to help out with the spell immunity. Just going to be picking up some magic resist for his team here. I think the pipe going to be very important for them pushing up onto the high ground. Otherwise, they're just going to get spammed out by the Lina Dragon Slave. So keeping their creep wave alive definitely going to be an important part of these fights. Centaur maybe thinking the same thing, but also just wants to protect his team from the magical damage. Going to pick up the pipe. Slark finds himself another DD. He's got the Silver Edge now, so that's going to be extremely helpful against the DK. But Troll Warlord also has a BKB now, so what's that? 2 full 10-second BKBs ready to rock and roll. And LFY Roshan not even that far away. Another minute and a half at the minimum. Slark scouting forward. Troll, perhaps a little bit out of position, but his team is actually very close by now. They're going to get the X marks the spot over onto the Centaur, it looks like, but they managed to burst down the Kunkka. That's the 2 supports dead already, but the core is going to turn with their BKBs. They fight down the Golem first. The Slark in his ultimate for the time being, but will be forced to disengage. Monet chasing forward. They've got the lasso. Looks like it was on the Centaur as Lina just going to keep throwing out stuns, but Troll will not be denied. Slark jumping over the tree line. Warlock getting slowed up by the S&Y, but able to just juke into the trees. And in the end, it's just 2 supports for a support and an off lane. As Vici Gaming hold their own pretty nicely. They bursted the Kunkka before the ghost ship could go off, before they could actually get that follow-up combo. And that was against the 2 10-second BKBs, so excellent fight from them. If they can just keep holding on until the Slark gets farmed, until those BKBs wear down, that's when this game could get really interesting. Warlock just going to be going for a Solar Crest here, but still needs the full Talisman. Crystal Maiden working on a Glimmer Cape. Has the Crystal Maiden, I guess the Crystal Maiden has been farming a little bit. Kunkka's actually lagging a bit behind. In terms of the overall farm, is actually the poorest hero in the game right now. As it's actually going to be Vici's turn to go for a smoke. Was not under the vision of any Radiant wards. Roshan, we'll find out the respawn time in just a second, but they've managed to jump in here on the Dragon Knight. There's Laguna Blade, tons of follow-up stuns, and they won't be able to counter-initiate for him at all. They do manage to get the X marks the spot, back out of the Centaur, but he's by far the tankiest target from Vici. And now chasing forward is the Slark, forces out the Freezing Field. Centaur looking for one more stomp, will be able to finish off the Crystal Maiden, but dropping low as Slark re-engages, and he does get lassoed up. Kunkka getting stunned onto the sidelines. Dragon Knight buying back now, sensing his opportunity, as Warlock also getting chased down on the edges of the fight. Centaur drops, and that's 2 cores dead so far, and I don't know if Lina's going to be able to escape. They've got the X mark, and that is a triple kill for Monet. Did cost them a buyback on the Dragon Knight, but oh man, it's a max. It's a completely maxed Roshan respawn. Oh man, that is very unfortunate for LFY, but maybe they can still get something done. The Dragon Knight ultimate is available. Only 20 seconds on the respawn for the Centaur and the Slark, but Lina in the hole for a full 30. And Troll Warlord already hitting the tier 3. The backdoor protection's being disabled. Dragon Knight with his level 3 ultimate gonna start going to work. And the Glyph will save it for a little bit longer, but it looks like they should at the very least be the tier 3 tower pop. Battle Trance only on cooldown for another 12 seconds. And looks like they will be content with just the tier 3 and then backing up to take the shrine for the Roshan control. Slark still scouting for some kind of an opportunity, but his team isn't all back in full force just yet. They're running their way over. They do have the Chaotic Offering ready to go, but their shrine is already dead. LFY might consider sticking around just a little bit longer. They still have a third of this DK ultimate or so, but just gonna back up as a team. They got some good wards down at the same time, so even better vision for a future push up onto the high ground, though they do still definitely want to take out this tier 2 tower over at top before they head up there. Just open up the opportunity to, if they win a ridiculous fight, just get the mega creeps and win the game. Lina is still working on this Bloodstone, just needs another 600 gold, but I think he had like a 10 or 11 minute Bloodstone in game 3 yesterday. I mean, they'd already won the game at this point for Vici against LFY yesterday, so this is not the same Lina performance. 3, 5, and 2, though I think a lot of that just has to do with the heroes that she's playing against this game. We got the Batrider to jump her. They've got 2 very easy BKB buying heroes in the Dragon Knight and the Troll Warlord just to run in and not really care about getting comboed. And Troll now going to be going for a Silver Edge of his own. Roshan getting scouted out. As LFY have to be sitting here thinking, what is taking this so long? They get the Boundless Strike onto the Batrider, following it up with the break and the pounce. Looks like he should be killed off. Tries the last little flame break, but with the Batrider dead for 50 seconds, maybe Vici have opened up the way to contest the Roshan somewhat. Though unfortunately they're pretty crap at taking Roshan themselves, so probably can't go for it. 30 seconds is probably even too long of a time unless the Slark had a bunch of stacks up, but only 4 stacks on him right now. And is going to be going for a Lincoln Sphere here, it looks like. Certainly helpful for him, but I think also going to be very helpful for him against the X marks the spot, but also potentially helpful to help throw on his teammates. But I think he's mostly doing it for the X, since of course he can get out of the DK stun and the lasso. Monkey King trying to scout up here on the high ground, but there's vision waiting for him and he gets dragged back into the boat. They don't even need it for the kill. Monet picking up a godlike streak now, and with that pickoff, he's going to head straight into the Roshan. Even without the backup of his team, he's taking this pretty quickly, and what can Vici do? They're just kind of wandering around off at the side. Centaur just farming up at the same time. Is he going to go for the point booster here? Interested to see what item he opts for. I don't think Lotus is that impressive, unfortunately, so maybe just the Aghanim Scepter, though of course it has been nerfed. Still pretty potent. Battle Trance gonna get popped. Do they give the Aegis to the Dragon Knight? Not really worth it, even though he was the one that bought back in the previous fight, but Monet more than content to frontline for his team right now as he runs forward with the Shadow Blade. They're gonna go looking, scouting for the high ground. The Warlock was just sitting here right in vision, and he will get dragged outside of the base. Can't get the Chaotic Offering yet, and the Monkey King also brought down. Buyback will be forced out, but I don't think Monet is all that concerned. He knows that he has the Aegis, he knows that he has his 8-second BKB, and he's got his team behind him. Dragon Knight now pushing up onto the high ground. No glyph available, so this is going to be one lane at the very least, and I would think that LFY might even go for a second. They're eyeing up bottom. Centaur coming back now. He's looking towards the Heaven's Halberd, but those BKBs still in full force out for LFY. They do try and get the jump in. Centaur's Blink not going to get cancelled, but a nice BKB counter-initiating. Now they've got the Chaotic Offering as well. Centaur able to stampede back to the shrine, healing up a little bit. They have managed to break the Dragon Knight, but it doesn't really matter. He's just going to turn and keep on auto-attacking. There's no escape from the slows. The bashes as well coming in. The Wukong's command pretty much completely lagging out the game, but Troll Warlord is the one winning this fight. Hasn't lost the Aegis. They're going to end up losing 4. They do manage to finally finish off the Dragon Knight, but not before they lose all 5. 2 buybacks coming in from the Centaur and the Slark. But Monet already got what he came for. He got the melee barracks, and now he's just going to retreat back with his team. Maybe even take a little pit stop to go and take the shrine. Slark, who's he gonna look for? Crystal Maiden, perhaps a pretty juicy target. The jump and stomp, not gonna find anyone as the Troll Warlord now breaks him up, reducing his damage. He does get a couple of extra stacks off of that, but the first bash coming in. Second bash, will it even be needed? He doesn't have the ultimate available, and Chuan already had enough of game 1. They're just gonna call it, as Monet has more than a beyond godlike streak. And it was Vici Gaming winning the fast games yesterday, but here in game 1 of this series, LGD.Forever Young will be taking this game in convincing fashion. 28 minutes. I think they were ahead on the net worth pretty much the entire game. And this is with the second pick Troll Warlord. So LFY, it seems like they really know what their most comfortable strat is. And I don't think this should be I don't think this should come as a surprise to Vici, the kind of thing that they were running, but maybe the Batrider pick catching them off a little bit. Maybe they were expecting their lanes to go a little bit better with the Warlock and the Centaur over in the off lane, and maybe the Monkey King rotation's not working out quite like they hoped. But that's going to wrap it up for game 1. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're enjoying the coverage, and I'll see you for game